Hey everybody, I am here with Miss Val Fisk. We are continuing the Friday Fun Get to Know the Team. So Val, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're living, because you just moved, and since you're in the start group, if you don't mind, how old you are, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I am in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I've been living here for about 7 or 8 weeks now. So I'm still settling into a brand new space and getting to know new people. Um, I'm 29. I will be 30 this year. So it's a big year. I feel like I keep repeating who was it, Jennifer Garner, that was in that movie where she said all the time, I just want to be 30, flirty, and thriving. So I feel like this is my 30, flirty, and thriving year, even though I won't turn 30 until August.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, and tell everybody what your new job is, because you just graduated with a master's.
Yes, I just finished my Master's of Divinity, and I am now working at a pretty large Baptist church here in Knoxville, and I'm the minister to college students and young adults. So I get to spend a lot of time hanging out with young people and just kind of walking through life with them. And I say that my job with college students is kind of like the same as our preschool director. Like, we're teaching them how to be humans, except that she's teaching preschoolers how to wipe their own nose, and I'm teaching college students how to sleep regularly and maybe work out once every month or so.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about pre-isogenics. I find that most people were searching for something, like they either hit a low point or they were in a funk. Like, bring us back to the pre-isogenics days. What were you searching for, and what kind of drew you to isogenics?
Yeah, I honestly didn't even realize that I was searching for this solution until you reached out and offered it to me. So about almost a year before I started using the products, I had started really getting serious about fitness and working out and had been trying really hard, but hadn't seen any real changes in I felt stronger, but I didn't see the changes in my body that I wanted to, and had that, just kind of unhealthy feeling all the time. And the biggest thing for me was that I had constant aches and pains everywhere in my body. And I just felt like I was never fully recovering from workouts. And so the only way I can describe it is that I had no idea what I didn't know before all of this. I was just exhausted and I felt frumpy all the time, even though I was trying really, really hard to increase my strength and increase my flexibility. It just wasn't coming.
And you're pretty young to have that happen, knowing you're still in your 20s.
Yeah, and especially because I just finished my second year of grad school when this was going on, and I was spending 8 or 10 hours a day sitting at a desk in the library because I was a graduate student doing my own work. I was a library research assistant getting paid to work for the library, and I was also a teaching assistant for one of my professors. And so everything I did had me sitting and looking at a computer screen and doing research and writing, and I was just frumped all the time. And so the fitness thing came for me as a way to try to just counteract that a little bit and try to help my body feel better. But it really just wasn't happening the way I wanted it to.
Okay. So what made you say yes? Because some people say yes right away. Some people think about it for a day or a week or a month. Like, what was it that made you say, yes, I got to try this?
Yeah. You and I had talked about it a couple times in the past. So at the point I started, I think you and Randy had been doing it for 5 years or so. And I had seen such amazing changes happening in your lives and watched that from a distance. And we've known each other for almost 10 years now.
Right. Yep.
And having seen that really work for you guys was a huge part of it. But I think at the point when you reached out again last year and said, hey, I really think this could be a good fit for you. I had just come off of an injury. I had just gotten back to full workouts after having some issues with my back, but I was still aching all the time. And I was so frustrated and I was so exhausted. And I was honestly so sick of trying to avoid fast food and do all of the food prepping that I was doing. And I was just exhausted by the whole process of trying to pay attention to every single thing I was eating and not seeing anything happening because of it. And so when you reached out and offered like, hey, this might simplify your life, hey, this might make you feel better, and then having you say to me like, hey, 30-day money back guarantee. If you get to the end of the 30 days and you're not feeling good, you're going to get back every single dime you spent on it. And I went, okay, I can call them on day 29 and tell them to give me my money back. I'm fine with that. And I fully expected that I would. And I'm so glad that I didn't have to.
Right. Yeah, me too. So knowing you use lots of products, because we have the Amped line, you cleanse, we have Ionics, like what would you call your couple of top favorite products that you use or can't live without?
I cannot live without Ionics. It is my number one. I go through more of that than anything else. So like one of the little canisters of it is supposed to like supposedly last you 30 days. And I'm going twice a day on it all the time. So it's like every 2 weeks I'm opening a new canister of it. And I love it. It really is the liquid gold, and it helps with keeping my energy levels up and keeping my brain fog away. And I really, really love that. Aside from that, you mentioned the Amp line. I really love the Recover. Those branched chain amino acids that are in there are so great for recovering from a workout and helping my aches and my pains that might come from something really get worked out, and having that to kind of reset my system and help with the muscle ache that comes after a really intense workout is really great.
Okay, good. So how do you feel Isagenix has really impacted or blessed your life so far? Because you literally just had your year anniversary like a month ago. So you're still what I consider somewhat of a newbie.
Yeah. I think the biggest impact and the biggest blessing for me has been figuring out that I didn't have to feel the way I was feeling. This has been such a huge gift. I just assumed everyone just felt this way. And I think in our country, in our culture, in the way that we approach nutrition in our culture, we assume that. We assume everyone just feels crappy. Everyone just deals with digestive issues. Everyone just eats drive-through stuff all the time. That's just how we live. And all of a sudden having the ability to look in my kitchen cupboard every morning and know I have great, dense nutrition there, and not having to worry about, well, what am I going to eat today? What am I going to cook today? What am I going to how am I going to figure out, what's good for you, what's not good for me? It's given me back time. It's given me back energy. It's really affected my life in a way that as a pastor, it's a spiritual discipline for me. I really believe in honoring God with all that I am, all of my mind, all of my heart, all of my being, and that includes my body. And I feel like I'm able to do so much more in my work as a minister because I'm really taking care of myself and I'm really investing in myself and my physical health. And that makes everything else fall into place. It makes everything else feel so much easier.
So you've shared with me in the past that this is your passion as far as working with the young adults in ministry, but you love the idea of Isagenix coming along as a vehicle where pastors don't typically make the most money, or you're on a much tighter budget and you have a lot to give and you want to be able to take jobs, not worrying what the money is, and or contribute more, whether it's mission trips or building schools. Like, you really see Isagenix as that vehicle where you're going to be able to create even bigger impact.
Yes, absolutely. I think my goal would be that I could use Isogenics as a way to find that financial freedom. Because right now, a big part of my consideration in whatever job I'm taking in ministry is this gonna pay my bills? Is this gonna cover what I need? Is this gonna make my life feasible? And if I can work hard at making this a part of what I'm doing, I really believe that this is a financial freedom tool for me to be able to not have to worry about that and be able to say, like, I can follow my call wherever it takes me, and I won't worry about that financial aspect because I have some residual income to take care of that, that little extra piece that I need, so that I can really focus on going where I'm needed most and figuring out ways to be really taking care of the call that God has placed on my life without having to worry about the financial piece of it.
I love that. And I think it's so cool that you're so young and to have such clarity and vision and tools. Oh my gosh, I wish I had this 20 years ago. Like, I just think it's so cool you're so young and get this. So my last question is, we also call this on the business side, personal growth with a paycheck. So I know your number one book you go to is the Bible, because I know you. Beyond that, like, how do you dig into you? How are you constantly building a better you? Are you a reader? Are you a podcast? Do you have somebody you like to follow? How do you do that?
Yeah. About, I guess, almost 10 years ago, when I was in college, I was introduced to the Enneagram, which is a personality system of 9 types, which are essentially 9 ways of being in the world. And over the last 5 years, I have really deeply dug into this system and into this wisdom as a spiritual development tool. And it's given me a ton of space to really examine myself in a non-judgmental way and to see how some of my dark and twisty places in my soul can come into the light and can become something that's really a positive part of me. And so I follow a teacher of the Enneagram. Her name is Suzanne Stabile. I read her books really regularly, and I've been listening to her podcasts for several years. Her podcast is called The Enneagram Journey. But I actually was really, really excited that she does a cohort study with about 40 people every year. And I applied for it this past fall and was accepted. So I'm going to Dallas 4 times this year to study with her and alongside of 40 other people who are doing this work and who really believe in the spiritual development of this practice. So that's my number one development tool for my personal growth. And that's what really keeps me grounded and aware so that I can do everything else well.
Awesome. It's so funny because I know of the Enneagram because there's a bunch of people at Willow who talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
Zach's roommate Connor's mom is a person who, I know, facilitator or whatever for the Enneagram. So I've heard about it, but it's one of the few tests I've never done. Like, I've done Myers-Briggs, I've done the colors, I've done a bunch of the others, and I've done strength finders. Like, I know my spiritual gifts. I've never done the Enneagram yet.
So the big thing I love about it is that we don't recommend anyone takes tests. Tests are based on behavior, and the Enneagram is really based on motivation and what causes you to function in the world the way that you do and how you view the world differently than the 8 other types. And so the thing that I have always felt about things like Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinder or other things is that it gives you ideas about yourself and, like, here's what I'm good at, here's what I'm not good at, but it doesn't give you a lot of ideas about how to grow. And the Enneagram is 100% about growing and becoming a holier, healthier person. And I love that about it. So
do you read a book? Like, how do you learn about it? So you read the book.
Books. There's a couple of different websites you could start at. Suzanne Stabile co-wrote a book with Ian Cron, and it's, what's the title? It's I think it's called the Enneagram Journey or but she wrote a book that's just basically a quick little primer on the Enneagram and what it is that you can learn about it. It's just very easy intro level kind of things. And she, I'm looking it up right now while I'm thinking about it. The Road Back to You, that's what it's called. And The Road Back to You is just a very quick read, easy intro to it. And then listening to her podcasts, she's been teaching the Enneagram for like 40 years and she knows all there is to know. She's amazing. I have so much respect for her as a teacher. But that's kind of how you do it. It's a system that I like. The way I describe it to people is like, this is self-work. And if you want to do your work, you have to do the work of discovering your own type. And so that's just kind of reading about it. And you really don't understand your own type until you start to understand how it's similar and different to others. And so you kind of have to study all 9. So it's a great system. Highly recommend to anybody, especially people who are looking to do some serious spiritual development.
Okay, good to know. Well, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
And I love this. So each week we're going to try and bring a different team member on because we have people from all over. Last week you heard from Julie Patterson, who lives right here in Algonquin with me. Obviously, Val's in Tennessee. We represent multiple states. And so this really just gives you guys a chance to get to know each other. So beware, I may be contacting you next for one of the next interviews. So stay tuned and we'll catch you guys later.